What's up, everybody? Welcome to another podcast. I don't even know how to start this. I don't know where to start this, but obviously, if you watched any of my previous podcasts, you know how excited, how happy I was that The Last Dance came out. I did episodes on those. And yeah, if you don't know or haven't realized yet, if you have been watching my videos, then you know that I consider Michael Jordan the greatest basketball player of all time. Um, I was happen I was lucky and fortunate enough to be able to root for the Chicago Bulls, then be my hometown team, you could say, and have the greatest player that ever played. To me, he is. And this podcast basically is going to debate those people who don't believe that and who think that LeBron James is. I'm going to try to make it quick because I feel like there's not much that has to be talked about or has to be told. One, because if you already believe one way, that's totally fine. I get it. You want to believe that. That's up to you. But I'm going to just show you some reasons. More like this isn't to convince anybody who doesn't believe it, but it's more just some facts to show you why we still believe that Michael Jordan is the greatest player still. And it's no knock to LeBron James. To me, he's the third greatest player that I got to watch play. Now, I'm not saying greatest of all time because, I mean, technically I shouldn't even say that Jordan's the greatest of all time if we're being honest here. But of the people that I've got to watch play, I rank with Jordan number 1, Kobe number 2, and LeBron number 3. That's not disrespectful, people. If you are a LeBron fan, even I could even move him up to number 2. That's not disrespectful to LeBron James. That doesn't make me a hater of LeBron James. For some reason, LeBron James fans believe that just because he's not number 1, and I think LeBron James believes this too. If you watched them when they won their championship, you watched them celebrate, the first thing that he said, well, not the first thing, but one of the things he said was, I want my damn respect too. What is that saying? A lot of people rank him as one of the greatest, as one of the best players to ever do this. So I don't understand what he wants respect for because we don't consider him the greatest. To me, I don't know. That's a whole different issue for someone that if they really want to be considered the greatest. If you ask Jordan that, he doesn't even say that. He doesn't even want to say that. It's embarrassing to him because it's disrespectful to all the players that came before him is what he said. Me, on my opinion, though, I believe that he is. Okay, so enough talking, enough blabbing. Let's talk about my reasoning why I believe. So LeBron won his 4th championship title in 17 years. Okay, so you look back and you say, yeah, but Jordan only played 13. We're going to start with championships. So Jordan played from 85 to 98 with Chicago Bulls. And then he came back for 2 years with the Wizards, if you want to count that or whatever. So he had a 15-year career, let's say. Won 6 titles. Okay, but from those years with the Bulls, you got to remember, his second year, he only played, I think, 20 games because he broke his foot. So he missed out. That's basically wipe away that season. Okay? Then he retired. 93. Was off. 93, 94, 95. Is that really a 13-year span? I don't think so. Okay? So, me, I would take away that second year. Take away those 2 years. So, in 11... I guess you could say, if you want to say 12, whatever. Between 10 and 11 years that he really played a full season. Yeah, then when he came back, he only played a few games there too. So give or take, you can say 10 seasons, you could say 11. He won the championship 6 times. 6 times with the Chicago Bulls. Not including, then you add on the Wizards years, whatever. So if you took away those 2 seasons and you added the Wizards, then he really did play a full 13, whatever you want to say. So he won the championship 6 times in that little career, the span of that career. Not little, sorry. LeBron has been playing for 17 and he's not done yet. And he's won it 4 times. Now, you want to say, yeah, but he's made it to the finals. Okay. He's made it to the finals, yes. But last time I checked, nobody gets an award for placing second unless you play for the YMCA. Now, I don't understand why that's a good thing. That you're still coming up short. You're still not making it there. So what does that matter? What does that matter? Yes, Jordan got swept by the Celtics again. Again in his second year. But he came back from a broken foot injury that he should not have played at all that season. And we all know what he did to the Celtics after only playing 20 games or less than 20 games and coming in and just like what he did against arguably one of the best defending teams of the NBA. So again, then he doesn't play with an all-star until Scottie Pippen comes along, which is about 89, 90, something like that. LeBron James played with multiple all-stars when he won championships. Why is that not taken in consideration? When Jordan was losing to the Celtics, losing to Detroit, or losing to whoever, he didn't have an all-star playing with him. Once Pippen became an all-star, it was done. But LeBron, when he won his championships, it was next to 1-2 all-stars. You can't tell me Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade aren't nobodies. Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, they're nobodies all of a sudden. I don't understand that. Now, everybody likes to talk about Jordan and his teammates. Rodman, he rebounded and played defense. Okay, that is very important, but that still doesn't put points up on the board when you have to score, when you need a score. Can we throw it to Dennis Rodman and he's going to take a 3 or drive to the basket or do something? LeBron James always had help, If he missed a shot, he had a second and third option, legitimate second or third option. Tony Kukoc, to me, wasn't a legit option. We saw what happened once the Bulls left. And in the Last Dance, you saw what they did to Croatia when they guarded Tony Kukoc, Scottie Pippen, and Michael Jordan. They locked him up. So, I don't know why LeBron James' teammates, everybody just wants to act like LeBron James just did everything, carried the teams that he was on. Yes, he played a huge role, but so did Michael Jordan in his teams. Another point that people like to say is, yeah, but they won 50 games without him. Okay, so the team that he left in 93, that wasn't the same team that they revamped the team. So basically they won 50 games. And then when Jordan comes back to play with them, now remember this, they didn't win. They made it to the conference finals, something like that. I don't even remember. It's been a while. I'm not going to debate that, argue that. So when Jordan comes back with a full season, they go and win a record at the time, 72 games and 10 losses. Now, that's from a 50-win team. Jordan bumped them up, and then they go and win 3 straight championships. So he left a championship team, came back to a playoff, pretty good team, but he took them over the top, and it wasn't the same players. Steve Kerr wasn't on that team that when he left. Luke Longley, Tony Kukoc, everybody that he won that won the championships, the second three-peat, it was only Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, the same players. So tell me, is that really the same team that he left? He got lucky, or the Bulls were lucky that they were able to draft and get the free agents that they had. But no, don't think that people tend to the media tends to do that a lot and say, oh, the Jordan haters tend to say, oh, yeah, but the Bulls were a 50-win team and on the verge of doing this and that. Okay, that's true. That's facts. But it wasn't the same Bulls team. So when he came back, look what happened. That's the same effect that LeBron has on his teams. He goes to a team that isn't a playoff team, turns them into a playoff team, or turns them into, I guess you could say, a championship team contending for a championship team. But Jordan did the same thing too. The only time he did it was when he went to the Wizards, and that was a terrible, terrible team. Terrible team. And remember, he was 38. So LeBron still has 3 more years to get to there, and we'll see. And don't let people fool you with that either. Jordan on the Wizards was still a very, very bad man as an old man. That, what he did then was pretty insane. And all those young players, the T-Max, the people you look up to, the T-Max, the Paul Pierces, even the Kobe Bryants, they will tell you the same thing. But the media likes to talk about stuff. The Jordan haters like to talk about stuff like that. Now, I know this isn't LeBron's fault, obviously. This isn't anybody's fault where they're born at. But the era that Jordan played in was way much more physical than it was when LeBron played. And I looked at the stats. You can look at them too if you want. I looked at just the simple fact of blocks, the simple stat of blocks per game. So I looked that up. When Jordan came in the league in 84, you had guys who were leading the league with 5 blocks, 4 blocks, 3 point something, high up there, right? And you had big names doing it. You had Dikembe Mutombo, David Robinson, Alonzo Mourning, Mark Eaton. If you're familiar with him, you had these guys were doing it over and over and over. Manute Bol, how big Manute Bol was. You had the span between when Jordan was there and when he retired. Those were the league leaders. When LeBron came in the league, the numbers dipped a little bit. They're down a little bit now. So 2 point something, 3 point something. It's not a lot technically on the stat sheet, but that's a lot in a game, if you ask me. The hand checking was much more difficult. If I can guide you and push you somewhere. Now again, I'm just a guy that probably shouldn't be discussing basketball, but those are the people that also put the bad name on Jordan and want to praise LeBron. It's the people who don't play. So if you're watching this and saying you can't play, you're right. I can't play basketball, but I've watched enough of basketball to know certain things. Okay. So, and like I said, the people that get paid to talk about basketball are the ones that can't play basketball. And that's a fact. Same thing with boxing, any other sport. So hand checking was different. You saw what the Pistons did. They talk about it all the time. If you watched The Last Dance, even if you didn't, you know what Jordan went through during his playing career. In the finals, LeBron got taken down. I think it was Iguodala, grabbed his arm, threw him down, and he gets up like wanting a flagrant foul. Different era. I'm not saying that the players are not as strong, they're not as weak. That's not true. That is not true. But the refs, the calls that are made are very different nowadays versus back then. Now, the blocks per game, like I was saying, the league was dominated by bigs. I can just name off Patrick Ewing, Alonzo Mourning, Shaquille O'Neal, David Robinson, Tim Duncan at the beginning of his career was there. I can't even think. Hakeem Olajuwon, Charles Barkley. The league was a big team. Karl Malone. You can just go on and look up. Every team had pretty much a big center or a pretty big power forward. So now it's a 3-point shooting league. I'm not blaming the players again. It's just what it is. It's more a finesse game. If you're athletic, you can get to the basket. You're probably gonna get a foul. Or something. Versus back then, you had to go in and take the contact, probably not even really be a foul, and go about your day. Jordan, when he was getting hammered by the Pistons, he was just getting up. He was just getting up, taking his free throws. Sometimes they wouldn't even call. They wouldn't even make the call. It wasn't even a foul sometimes. Maybe they made up for that later on in his career because Jordan would get a lot of calls. This is not for me to be totally biased. Okay. So, different era, whatever. Now, my last point is going to be this because I don't want this video to go on 30 minutes. My last point is this. A lot of people say that Jordan played against white plumbers. And this is white people. White people have told me this who like LeBron. I remember my first Nike that I worked at, this white guy was trying to say, he played against a whole bunch of white plumbers. I'm like, you're white. What are you talking about? Why would you say that? But again, so you're telling me because Jordan was 6'6", athletic as, a freak, basically, 6'6", about 215. You're telling me a 6'4", sometimes a 6'4", semi-athletic. I would say, this is my point. If you're in the NBA, you're getting paid. Out of all the players that play basketball in the world, you're one of the few that gets selected to be one of the best to get paid to play. You're telling me that an organization is going to be paying a white guy who can't play basketball to be on the bench or to go into a game and guard a Michael Jordan, a Kobe Bryant, whoever. No, they're still good players. They still can play. And that is bullshit. The only person that I could think of that was a white little guy was maybe Jeff Hornacek. And he didn't even really guard Jordan that much. Yeah, he had to, on switches, he has to guard, run down the court, and you have to pick somebody up. Yeah. But Byron Russell was the one who guarded him for the Jazz. And you can go on. You can talk about Gary Payton. You can talk about Kobe Bryant even guarded him. I don't know where this stigma or whatever you want to call it, where that even came about. Now, like I said, you're telling me 6'6", strong guy. Obviously, he was strong. He worked out. But you're telling me LeBron James, who is 6'9", you could say 6'8" if you want to be generous. I don't care. Almost 300 pounds of muscle. You're telling me that he's not going up against anybody who he goes up against it's gonna be equivalent to what Jordan was going up against. If we're talking about size and we're talking about this and that, LeBron James makes everybody look like a bunch of white plumbers who don't have no game and no business guarding him because he's so strong and big. That is the same thing. Now, if he doesn't enforce his power and his will and have that in his game, that's not my fault. That's not my fault just because I think that Jordan did that. If you saw him playing in the post, Jordan evolved his game to work in the post, to play in the post because he wasn't as athletic. LeBron James, you can say that he worked on his post game, but I don't think he has a good post game. That's just me. I don't know what LeBron James has. If I have a son that I know is going to be a great basketball player, I'm going to have him look, and this goes for everybody in America, I would have him watch Michael Jordan's game. Why? Because not only was he talented, freakishly had all these skills and all that, but he had great fundamentals. If you look at his jump shot, it is pure. The form, everything is amazing. Great. Look it up. LeBron James' jump shot form is not that great, which is probably why he doesn't make it a lot of times. Now, you can talk about stats. You can say LeBron, yes, he's played longer. He's played longer time. Of course he's going to do that. Of course. I'm pretty sure he's made more threes than Jordan. So if you think about it, Jordan was doing that with 2-pointers, driving to the basket, dunks, layups, whatever. With LeBron James shooting threes, he's doing it all. Now, again, like I said, LeBron James is a great player. He's an amazing player. If I couldn't have Jordan on my team, I would have no problem. No problem taking LeBron James. No problem at all. So we got to stop using that notion of Michael Jordan played against plumbers and he was this and he was that and LeBron James has more this, has more that. If we talk about stats, that LeBron James has more than Jordan because he played longer, well, then that would make Jordan a clear winner because he played in a short amount of time and has more championships. Now LeBron James has a chance to win more because he's playing with Anthony Davis. That's equivalent to Michael Jordan getting a young Tim Duncan or a Shaq, a Shaq. Let's say in '98 he went to the Lakers and played with Shaq. I'm pretty sure Jordan would have actually. I don't know because Jordan was stubborn. He would have said, "I'm still the man here. I still want to dominate, or I still can dominate." Whereas LeBron is happy, and there's nothing wrong with that. LeBron is good, having someone else lead. And then another thing that bothers me is, LeBron James passes the ball, the player misses, and people get on LeBron James, and say there's people who say that he should have taken the shot, and people say that he shouldn't. Okay. If you're familiar with the play that he did with Green, that he missed the three, that is a great play. That's a good basketball play. But that's not the play that you want to run, especially if you're LeBron James. That's not the play that you want to do. You want to isolate and go to the basket and either get fouled or make a wide open pass off a play. I think that play was designed for Green, and that's what I mean. Jordan would have, if the basket is needed, he would have found a way to score or get to the free throw line. Now, yes, he passed to Paxson and he passed to Steve Kerr. But if you look at the Steve Kerr, I'm not sure about the John Paxson play with the Suns, but I'm pretty sure the Steve Kerr, they were tied. It was a tie game, so there's not as much pressure. It's not as much pressure. But if you watch the '98 finals, when he comes in, scores, they're down. I think they're down 3 at that point. He scores a layup, steals the ball, obviously. Last minute jumper, up by 1, they win the game. That's epic Michael Jordan. That is true Michael Jordan right there. And that's what I mean. He wasn't going to pass the ball. He was going to get it done for his team. No pressure on his teammates like LeBron likes to do. And yeah, just know that I'm pretty sure when it was needed, Jordan's going to come through. Tie game, different story. And the Kobe Bryant had that same mentality. I don't know if he just got that or he talked about that with MJ. I don't know. But he had that same mentality that I'm going to score. I don't care. To me, LeBron James could be more dominant. He should be more dominant. We should be calling him the greatest, but based on him winning. And he hasn't proved that. So, if you still think LeBron James is the greatest, I feel sorry for you. But hopefully I supplied enough facts for you to kind of understand, not believe. You don't have to say that Jordan's the greatest, but hopefully you understand where I'm coming from and know why a lot of people still think that Jordan is the greatest of all time. Have a good day, everybody. Peace.